news you need to know. This is Afternoon News on eNCA. I'm Joanne Joseph. Let's get straight to our top story this evening. Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi has asked the Office of the Health Ombudsman to investigate the deaths of 36 psychiatric patients. Gauteng's Health Department is already looking into the matter. The patients were transferred to community-based NGOs earlier this year after the department terminated its contract with Life Healthcare esidimeni. Patients' relatives opposed the relocation and marched over concerns that patients wouldn't receive adequate health care. The Gauteng Health Department says the patients have continued to receive care, but it's admitted there were problems with the relocations.
They were assessed by our medical teams because we had difficulties throughout the negotiations of this contract that we needed the true files, we needed proper information, we needed how to get a full sense of how those patients, what treatment they were on, what was their ailments before. But what we got, of course, at the end of the day, after our team also did an initial assessment, we got some medication when the patients were leaving, but also we got difficulties. Patients moved there without clothing. Some of them would move with one set of clothes that they're wearing and nothing else. Some of them move with only one pair of shoes at the time they were moving. So we've had a very complicated relationship with Life, particularly about this matter. But we've resolved those issues with the CEO. Of course, a lot could have been done differently if indeed we cooperated from the beginning. But we are here now, and we've got to make sure that those patients who are still under our care, who continue to be under our care, we treat them diligently. But the important thing that I'd like to highlight to the citizens of South Africa is that all the patients that were under care of Life, the state was paying for those patients. We were referring our doctors who continue to refer the same patient to the NGOs, to Serkfontein, to Vescopies, will continue to be referred by our own doctors.
Now, in just a short while, we're hoping to speak to the South African Depression and Anxiety Group for a little more insight into what goes on in those NGOs where the psychiatric patients lost their lives. In another big story today, the Standing Committee on Public Accounts has questioned the Hawks' request for more money. It says the unit has only completed 60% of its investigation since 2010. Hawks boss Burning Ndlemeza briefed the committee today. He revealed almost 400 government officials have been convicted of corruption in the past 2 years.
The total number of officials convicted since 2014 to date is 399. In order to achieve the target of conviction of 1,000 by 2019, set in terms of the MTSF for 2014-2019, a total of 601 government officials are still to be convicted. A total number of 931 government officials have been convicted since the inception of the ACTT.
Let's take you back to our top story now. The State of Government Health Centres is in the spotlight after the deaths of 36 psychiatric patients in Gauteng. They died after being transferred to various NGOs by the Provincial Health Department. The Health Minister's now asked the Office of the Health Ombudsman to investigate the matter. South African Depression and Anxiety Group spokesperson Nkini Phasha joins us in studio for more. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you, Joanne.
I must ask you, do you know why the contract between Life Healthcare and the government was discontinued?
Look, from the reports that we are getting, is financial constraints that has been cited as really the main reason or the key reason for discontinuing that contract with Life esidimeni, facilities. So, but obviously we do know that, more could have been done. I mean, this, Joanne, it really is such a tragic catastrophe and really a sad day, in our country where we've lost so many, psychiatric patients, in one point, in one time. Those people, they are either someone's mother, someone's father, friend, sibling, uncle, or brother or sister. So, it's lives that really, really matter, to some. And really, as a South African Depression and Anxiety Group, we empathize with, those families that have been affected by this and offer our most heartfelt, condolences to each one of those families.
Many Many people are wondering, these are patients with mental illnesses. How would they have died?
Look, I mean, as a severely ill, mentally ill patient, the care that is required for those type of patients is quite intense, is very involved. So at this stage, we really do not have conclusive reports in terms of what the cause of deaths are. But, we can speculate, and really what we can think of is that, probably the type of care that they required was not afforded. And really this extends to even most of the basic, care, like, where they've been fed properly, where they're actually getting proper, food, where they're getting proper, drinking, water, medication, because we know that those patients were transferred without even their files, their medical files. Now, how then do you actually ensure that you can properly take care and manage and treat that patient without having that medical history, which would be contained in those files? So those are just really some of the things, that key issues that really come up and that we think could actually lead us. But of course, a proper investigation has to really be instituted so that we can get to the bottom of this, because really, this is really, a very terrible situation to have happened, and totally unacceptable.
You never want it to happen again, clearly.
Indeed.
But just give us a sense of this, for those of us who have never visited one of these NGOs. What are the conditions like in them for the people living there?
Look, I mean, already in South Africa, we do know that, our public healthcare facilities are under-resourced. Now, when you take severely ill psychiatric patients into these NGOs, they're not all on the same, on par in terms of really having the proper infrastructure and having the proper human resources to ensure that they can now be able to handle, this now, extra demand that has been placed on them. So a lot more needed to be done to ensure that we can really capacitate these NGOs to ensure that, from proper, nutrition, treatment, are they stocked up in terms of really having, that medication for those patients, and really having the enough manpower to ensure that they can actually look after these patients in a proper manner, and maybe to the same level of treatment and care that they received at Life Esidimeni.
Well, in a related question, could families have been able to cope similarly with some of the patients who were simply handed back to them when this contract ended?
Not. As the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, we have been working with other stakeholders, including the Gauteng Department of Health, Section 27, and also the Society of, the South African Society of Psychiatrists, to try and actually ensure that we can make sure that proper, preparations and proper, capacitation is actually done. So really, we know that those families, they would not have been able to properly, take back their severely ill, psychiatric ill, family members, and be able to offer the same level of care that was offered by the Life Esidimeni facilities.
That's such a heartbreaking story, but thank you for your insight into it. Lovely talking to you today. South African Depression and Anxiety Group spokesperson Nkini Phasha. Plenty more still to come on Afternoon News. For now, we check in with the Weather Centre.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Weather Centre. Here's what we've been looking at throughout Wednesday. Storm clouds drifting from the northwest down into southeastern South Africa, and we still have a bit of rain-bearing clouds hanging around parts of the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal and the easternmost areas of Mpumalanga and Limpopo. We stayed with clear skies across the western half of South Africa. However, we are starting to see quite a lot of fog drifting down the west coast. So tonight it's going to become foggy along the west coast, and isolated to scattered thunder showers will continue over the northwest, extending down into the southeastern areas and spilling into southern Gauteng and Mpumalanga. Light rain and drizzle is forecast for the eastern parts of Mpumalanga and Limpopo. It should stay fine across the western interior. Then on Thursday, we are going to have isolated thunder showers for the southeastern areas. Mostly fine weather is forecast for the northeast, and the skies will stay clear across the rest of the country. However, in the evening, light rain is forecast along the west coast, and that's ahead of that intense cold front which is set to hit our shores as we go through Friday. In the meantime, here's a look at the chance of you seeing wet weather coming your way tonight. We expect